want to talk to you about creating layers in an image, and especially if that image has issues with it and how to find those issues and resolve it. So I'm going to be working with a unicorn image today, and the image is already in an SVG. So I'm going to click upload and go and browse to my folder where I downloaded it. You can tell it's an SVG because it says .svg at the end. So that's telling you the file type. Anything after the dot is the file type. Also, it's got this kind of Microsoft Edge HTML icon. So that's how I know it's a true SVG and not an image. So when you upload an SVG, it goes straight to save as a cut image. You don't have to pick simple, moderate, complex, and then choose if you want print then cut or cut image. It's going to go straight to cut image. All you got to do is hit upload. And I was helping somebody online with this image, and it was really kind of being difficult. So the first problem that I see is that there's some text down here. It might be a watermark, but you don't need that in there. So I'm going to delete those pieces. I can either figure out which pieces they are by clicking on the layers panel and then I can see them highlighting, or when I click on the whole image, I can see that the group button is turned off and ungroup is turned on. That means the image is grouped. So now if I ungroup it, I can grab just the stuff here and delete it. But now I want to select all and group it back together because I want to be able to resize this and play with it. Okay, so the next challenge we ran into was when trying to contour this, there was a little gap here, so this little hoof would not close. I'm going to zoom in. If you've never used the zoom, that's in the lower left. So if I zoom way in, you can see there's a little gap there. So contour will not fully work because it's looking for closed pieces, and that's open. So how you fix that? You can go like this and insert a shape. And I'm going to unlock that so I can make that shape into a really tiny, skinny little line. And now I'm going to rotate that line kind of the same angle. Oops. Now I need to pick on just that line. There we go. So now I'm going to basically put that line in there and fill that gap. So now when I select everything, and for selecting everything, you can either click on layers over here, you could do a big window around things, or use that right here, select all button. And it's just going to automatically select everything. Okay, so now when I weld, Design Space has to think a little bit. And it's early, it might need its coffee. I know I don't think too quick. There we go. So now that little line is, or that little gap is filled in, and everything is welded together in one big image. And I have to zoom back out. Okay, so the person I was helping wanted to make this image in different colors. So here's what I would do. For each color, you want a new layer. So if I duplicate this and then go up here to change the color for the layer, that's going to help me see the pieces that I want turned on and off. Okay. So for example, they wanted, I believe it was the mane and the tail to be purple. So now I'm going to click on the purple one and hit contour. So we want the mane and the tail to be a solid piece, but everything else to be hidden. So contour allows you to turn on and off or hide different sections. So it's because there's a lot of pieces, it's taking a while to kind of populate this preview. But once it does, we'll see a preview of each individual section or piece that the Cricut is going to cut. There we go. Okay, so right away I can tell that this heart is enclosed because it's not filled in solid. So since we want the mane and the tail filled in solid, I'm going to click on those. Wow, this is really taking a long time to fill in. Sorry about this, that, the video's in real time showing those kind of issues. Okay, so what I'm going to do, there we go. So I start by clicking on this very first one because that's most likely the outline. And I know I'm going to want all these hearts turned off for this. It's all about getting the right pieces turned on and off. I might pause this until Design Space catches up with me because it's really being slow. Okay, so the areas that you can see darker, like this one and this one, are the ones that are turned on. That's what the Cricut will cut. Everything else is a lighter shade of gray. So I turned off all of these pieces, and right now it's just this main piece that's turned on. And really, to get those inner pieces to turn on, make sure you click on this very first one, the very first preview. That's going to be your outline. So now when I close this, that's all purple. Oh, shoot. Except for there's something that didn't contour right. Okay, so this is why we have to go in and kind of look at these images and see what's going on. So when something doesn't contour the way I'm expecting, I always go in and kind of zoom into that area because it might be another problem like the little hoof. So it's like the tail didn't contour the way I thought it would. So let's zoom in there. So here's the good news. When I went in to try to look and see if there's a gap or opening in this mane and tail piece, there was not. And while I was zooming around, all of a sudden I noticed, hey, everything filled in over here the way I wanted it to. So it was just a case of this file is so big and Design Space is being slow right now. It took a while for it to figure out and catch up. So what I showed you before in Contour, having that first preview image turned off because that's the outline, and that would turn on all the centerpieces. And then just having the tail and mane turned on was accurate. Okay, so now what I like to do is go like this, because now I can say, okay, that makes sense. That's gonna cut what I want in purple for the mane. So the hearts, let's say we want all of the hearts cut in red. So if I duplicate this and bring it over here and make this red, for me, that helps me see what I'm doing and what I'm playing with. So contour again, and I'm going to automatically turn off this very first preview because 99% of the time, this first preview is the outline. And we don't want to cut the outline, we want to cut the inner pieces. So now it's going to be turning on the inner pieces for all the hearts. So let's turn them on and turn off all of the unicorn pieces. Again, this is going to take some time, and Design Space is being slow for me, so I'm going to pause the video and I'll just show you when I get there. So since I want the hearts filled in solid, I'm going to go through and find any outline of a heart and turn that off. Oh, this is the eyeball, I can tell because of the eyelashes. So I'm going to turn that off too. So that's part of the main. I'm also turning off pieces that I can tell are parts of the eyes as I scroll through here. Okay, so you really start to focus in and start to see your different images and shapes when you're doing this. Okay. So because I'm not seeing a lot of outlines of the hearts, I'm seeing center cuts of the hearts. I'm wondering if maybe my hearts are not closed shapes. So let's take a look at that. And again, it doesn't look right now, but I found when I started zooming in to look at things, it fixed itself because it's like Design Space needs that much time to figure this out. Oopsie, now it's starting to fill in. Okay, so you can see I missed a couple pieces, so I'll have to go back in and contour those out. Okay, let's do that now. Okay, so now that we have the red hearts, next part I wanted to do was make the body white. So again, I'm going to change the color right away because that helps me see the pieces better. It's just something I like to do. So now when I do contour, I'm going to again hide that first piece because I figured out that's the outline. So when you turn off the outline, it makes all the inner pieces solid. And I don't know why Design Space is being so slow today, or if it's just that this file is so big and contains so much data, but this will happen sometimes. And luckily, since I'm recording, I can turn off the recording so you're not just watching things load. Okay, so I want to keep this main body piece. If you look, you can kind of see right here that this has got the shape of, here's the back end of the unicorn, here's going up for the ear, that's coming around for the nose and the front tail. So this is basically the piece I want white. So then I can be turning off the other pieces. And you can see that there's a little lag time that it's taking for everything to turn off. I also think I want to keep this part right here and this part right here white for the white of the eye. Um, all the hearts I can turn off because I'm not going to want any of those hearts in here. So I keep scrolling. I can just click, click, click and turn them off. Oops, I turned off a hoof. And there, let's turn that one back on. There we go. Okay. What does that look like? Oh, that's the part of the mane. Once you start to look at things enough, you can start to figure out what pieces they are. Oh, that's a hoof. Let's leave that on. And when design space is not being slow, you can actually see the image turn on and off within your cuts. So that's helpful too. I didn't see what that one was. This one looks like part of the eye, but that looks like the part that I want to make blue later. So let's, yep. Okay. Okay, so this piece right here that I just turned off is in the arc of the ear, but I'm going to want to keep that because I'm going to want to cut that out so you see the black outline behind. Now, sometimes you got to kind of think about this stuff. It's like a math problem. I think this is part of the horn. Yep. That's underneath the eye, so that's the piece I do want to keep. That was on the horn too. This is the top piece of the eye. It's like looking at a puzzle and you gotta look at the shape of the piece to figure out where it goes. Some people really like doing that. Other people find that very frustrating. So I will say this image has been one of the harder ones I have worked with. I don't know if it's the way the file was made or it's just so big or what. So let's do this. Okay, so now, okay, that is really good except for the eye. The eye, I actually wanted to change it to the opposite of how I contoured it. So I'm going to pause and fix it. But you can see why changing the color of the layer before you start contouring really helps you see what you missed, because now when I bring it over here, I'm like, yep, that fits. If there was a random white piece up here in the horn, I'd be like, oh yeah, I have to recontour that. Okay, so what I want to do is turn off this part of the eye and turn that back on. All right, pausing again. Okay, so once I got the white of the eye back, I noticed that the pupil was open. So I went and clicked over here for the black layer and closed that off. And then I also noticed that the nose was missing. That's because on the white I had closed that off. So I need to open that back up. So now the last thing we need to do is make the horn, right? So let's duplicate this black layer. And the horn piece is going to be silver. Since we don't have a silver, I'm going to use gray because that is darn close enough. And now we're going to contour. And remember to click off that first, or click the first image so it's dark. Dark turns it off. So that's turning off the outline. If you turn off the outline, you turn on the inside pieces. once you grasp the concept of contour, it really becomes a lot easier. And I actually have another idea for this whole image, so I might play around with something in the second half of this video. Okay, so we know this is the main body, so we can turn that off. And see how it's lighter when I turn it off? So that's how we know it's gone. We've played with this. We know this is part of the main. So some of these pieces are going to become easier to pick out. This is also part of the main, I think. Yep. And everything with a heart would go away because we do not want it on this layer. This would go away. Oof, the heart. Okay, this one. I think it's this piece right here, which is actually part of the main, because it's like the main is coming behind the head. See, now its design space is starting to be slow. There it goes. Okay, so this one, what was that? Oh, that's part of the eye, right? Yep. Okay, so then that's the inside of the ear. You know, this could be a very boring video because you're just watching me click stuff. And I could edit it down so that you only see the interesting stuff. But actually, I kind of like it when you guys get to see the process so that you understand that this is not always a quick and easy, done in 5 minutes kind of thing, like some videos would lead you to believe. Oh, that turned off part of the horn, so I'm going to try it back on. Because some videos out there will go so quick, or they will kind of trim out this putsy stuff, and then you're like, oh, they make it look so easy. Where I'm not trying to make this look easy, I'm trying to make it look real so you can learn it. Okay, so now it's just the horn piece. Yay for the inside. Okay. Last but not least, we want to make the blue part of the eye. So I'm going to duplicate this again. And I change my color first because it really helps me to see what I'm trying to focus in on. And really, all I want turned on is this little curved piece. So I'm going to try something. Once this populates, I'm going to try clicking. This should come up and say hide all contours. Again, it's being slow. I'm going to pause. Okay, if I hide all contours, it's literally going to turn everything off. And it's taking a while to do that because instead of going and clicking on everything, I'm going to just turn everything off and then just turn that one little eyeball piece back on. So the eyeball piece, and I keep saying the eyeball piece, but what I mean is like the colored part of the eye. That's close. We'll soon find out if this was a good idea or a bad idea. Bear with me, people. Because it has to leave at least one piece turned on. Otherwise, if you contoured everything out, you would be turning off the entire design, and that would be dumb. because you wouldn't see anything. So I'm going to click there and see if it lets me do that. And I think Design Space is thinking right now because no previews are showing up. So again, I'm going to pause. Okay, so now my previews are coming in, which is a lot better. So I turned on this piece, which is that curve right here. I made sure I turned off that top preview. Now I gotta get this little guy. And he might be easier to find with the previews once it comes back. Come on. Everything's dark. There's one. Maybe it's this one. Oh, it is. Okay. So basically I have just this one little piece, which is the blue of the eye, is the only thing turned on. So now it's got to reset and catch up with me. And think about that. There we go. So now I can slide that in there for the blue of the eye. Okay, so a lot of people will do their images exactly like this and have a black outline. I personally, especially if I'm doing this on iron-on, like to have a solid black image, and I'll tell you why. You can see even when I was lining these up in here, sometimes I don't hit that perfect. But if I have more of a solid black piece that doesn't line up perfect, it won't be that big of a deal. So to do that, I would use the contour on the black and fill in some of those spots solid. I'm going to just do a few here so you see what I'm talking about. Again, most images aren't this difficult. This cute little unicorn was just kind of a problem child. So that's why you really have to learn to understand Design Space and play with it and be patient. And if you ever have a question, ask me. I'm here for you. And then maybe I'll make a little video for you, specifically for your project. So now I'm looking at the black layer. And you know what? I'm going to get rid of the outline on all of the hearts. So I'm just turning everything off for the hearts because I really just want those out of red. And then they don't need to have an outline. So let's turn all of those off. And this is how you can keep playing with and changing and improving your images. You know, once you have it, at one point you can look at it and go, yeah, I really don't need that. So I'm gonna, get rid of it. So also what I'm trying to do is make the whole piece filled in solid. So remember how in the beginning I said, hey, always turn off this first one? Well, for when you want the whole piece to be a solid black, it's actually the opposite. You want to leave that one on and turn everybody else off. So this will fill in the whole thing black, and then you'll be able to see. I know this is really exciting video, but I didn't say it was going to be exciting. I said it was going to be useful. Okay, so now when I do this and we give designs, oh, that went a lot faster. Okay, so now I'm going to go arrange and send this to the back and scooch him in over there. So now you can see how I don't have any little gaps in my vinyl, because before you could see little gaps because things weren't puzzle pieced in perfectly. So this is the way I like to do an image, with a solid black background, and then because like this horn right here, Now I can see I really want to move it more this way. Maybe even a little bit more. But I can do that because that's a solid black piece, and it just changes the width of the outline. Okay? So after I get everything how I want it color-wise, I like to select all and group. Group lets you keep everything on individual colors, individual layers, but now I can resize them together. So that means if you had this zoomed out really big so you could look at it and work on it, you can group it. So now you can do this and move it as one big grouping. Okay. Another thing I want to try here is if I go back to my uploads and I bring the same image in, the way they created this SVG file is different than how most people do. Most people will have things be how this one was done, so that it is each layer is its own individual thing. Well, we can see over here for this one, it's almost like every cut is a different piece. So another way we could have done this is gone ungroup, got rid of this, and then what would happen if we changed this to red? And this to red. We could almost start to do it from there by ungrouping them. And, oh, let's go to color sync. So now if I look at all the pieces that are red, that are black that I want red, so like this heart, I can just start dragging them into the red bucket, for lack of better terms. And now, and all those dots would also go in there. So you can see those are changing to red. They're just red outlines. They're not filled in. To fill them in, we're going to have to play with contour. But this would be a quick way to switch them all. Okay. So now, let's see. That we want to stay black. What is this little guy? Oh, it's the little dot. Okay, so that wants to stay black. This is the main part of the horse, which would be white, right? Oh, that was the wrong horse. Sorry, my bad. This is what happens when you have too many things on one screen. Okay, now he's back how I want him. Okay, so now let's go back to my layers. And I could also take everything that was red, and if I click on it, hold my shift key down, I can click on other red things and then weld those together or attach them. Actually, I like attach better usually because it lets you manipulate them still. I was just trying to see if maybe this unicorn could be less of a problem than he currently is by playing with this. Attach. Attach holds placement and position. So what I'm trying to do is basically attach all of the red pieces together so that they kind of become their own one layer. Okay. So now, yeah, I'm still gonna have to contour for all of that. So what I would have done though is taken this part of the horse and done a weld so that it's all one piece. And then you still have to go in there and weld that little line in there. So you could ungroup and just weld the horse together and then attach the hearts together so that you can play with them separately and you don't have to deal with those hearts with every layer. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But basically, end result was you are able to get each piece individually layered. So now I have this. Oh, and when I click make it, well, let's save. Always hit save first. Because if something goes wrong, at least you have it saved. Okay, so now I'm going to hit make it. And it's going to think for a while because this is a big file. Okay, so now it's literally just cutting the white part on the white mat. On this gray mat, you're just going to get, well, it's silver, but you're just going to get the little horns. So on the purple, you're just going to get the tail and the mane because that's all you want. So that's what creating colored layers will do, is keep everything perfectly on its own mat, so you just cut what you need. I hope that this video helped you. If it did, give it a thumbs up and like it. Share it with somebody who also needs to know this information. And, subscribe to my channel so that you can get notifications of new videos. But also, most importantly, if you have questions, let me know. This whole video was because somebody reached out to me with the question on their very specific image that they were struggling with. And it all started because we couldn't contour that little hoof, and I found the gap in the outline. So if you have a question, let me know. Maybe it'll turn into my next video. All right, have a great day. Thanks.